We're delighted to welcome you from Diggy Palace to the 14th Jaipur Literature Festival protected by Dettol. It's our pleasure to present Unfinished, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, in conversation with Shobhaa. Unfinished is one of the most exciting and inspirational books of the year, following Priyanka Chopra Jonas' journey through life and cinema. The memoir takes readers from her childhood in India through her formative teenage years in the United States to her return to India, where she unexpectedly won the national and global beauty pageants Miss India and Miss World that launched her acting career. The result is a book that's warm, funny, sassy, inspiring, bold, and rebellious, and will inspire, hopefully, a generation around the world to gather their courage, embrace their ambition, and commit to the hard work of following their dreams. A National Film Award winner with more than 60 international and Hollywood films to her credit, Chopra Jonas made her American TV acting debut on the ABC TV hit drama Quantico, where she made history as the first Indian-born actor to star as the lead of a TV drama series. She is a global UNICEF Goodwill ambassador, recipient of the prestigious Danny Kaye Humanitarian Award, and is also involved in a number of efforts to protect children's rights and to promote the education of girls around the world, including her namesake charity, the Priyanka Chopra Foundation for Health and Education. In conversation with author and columnist Shobhaa. Priyanka Chopra Jonas is a multifaceted talent who is one of the most recognized personalities in the world. A National Film Award winner with more than 60 international and Hollywood films to her credit, she was featured on the cover of Time magazine's coveted Time 100 issue, named as one of the most influential people in the world and recognized as one of Forbes' most powerful women. Chopra Jonas is a global UNICEF Goodwill ambassador and received the prestigious Danny Kaye Humanitarian Award. Shobhaa has written extensively on India's socio-cultural political contours for over 4 decades. Her books include several bestsellers such as Socialite Evenings, Starry Nights, Superstar India, Seiji, and 70, and To Hell With It. Her most recently published book is Srilaji. Please do remember to comment by typing it into the comment section below. Ladies and gentlemen, Unfinished, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, conversation with Shobhaa.
Thank you, Sean Joy, and
Thank you
wonderful,
so much,
Priyanka,
Joy.
to see you looking so glorious. Congratulations on the book. I have to tell you, I read it in one straight go last
My
night.
hands are wet thinking about that. You read the book.
I have read it. I know it. I know it almost by every line. So let me start with the last chapter first.
Okay.
Because to me, that was the most moving chapter. It was very evocative. By then, I could sense that you'd come into your own as a writer, because the first few chapters, naturally, for a first book, you're finding your voice. Now, for a memoir, it's very important that the voice makes itself heard. You want to see the person, and most importantly, you want to hear that person when you're reading the book. And I found the last chapter sort of, in so many different ways, the whole book came together for me wonderfully and beautifully. It summed up your life in a way that is not boastful, and it was reflective. I liked your concept of a home with the many rooms, the home that's unfinished, which is where I guess you got the title from. Though I would as easily have called it the White Tigress, having watched you in that very recently. Also a superb performance, and I believe maybe up for an Oscar nomination. So if that happens, wow and wow again. So the last chapter talks about your efforts with the girl child. Let me ask you about Choti, because that fascinated me, the little girl in your home who was 5 years old. And you've written about her very, very movingly, and how at that age, that realization dawned on you that so many little girls across the world do not have access to education, to sanitation, to health, to all the things that we take so much for granted. So let's start there. Your learning years through your parents and through Choti, how that grew into something so global and so big today, the foundation.
Well, thank you, Shobha ma'am, first of all, for saying all the lovely things. Thank you for giving my book a chance. First of all,
Totally.
having read it just makes me very, very excited. And I'm really glad you felt that way in the last chapter where it all comes together, because sort of that was the idea for me, that I am at a place right now in my life where I feel like I've come together, where, every vertical of my life is sort of in control. I'm in control and in charge of everything that I'm trying to do. And I'm glad the book reflects that, because the journey to get there was meandering, and I didn't have my footing. I was a young girl thrown into this crazy industry, and kind of navigated my own way. But Choti is a really important part of it, because it shaped just the person I am. And I think that idea of being aware of the world around you was inculcated in me through my parents when I was a child. It was not something we were, you know, शाबाशी नहीं मिलती थी हमको अगर हमने कुछ ऐसा किया. ऐसा नहीं है कि अच्छा very good you thought about that person. If you shared your doll with somebody else, शाबाशी नहीं मिलती थी. हमेशा मेरे dad बोलते थे कि mom actually कहती है कि whoever, no matter how badly off you are in the world, somebody is worse off than you. और ये बचपन से सुना है मैंने, that you have to always be acutely aware of what is happening around you. And that's what I felt with Choti, which is the little girl who, her mom used to work at our house as a cook, and she very casually said to me that I don't go to school anymore. And it was such a like nonchalant thing. I was like, why don't you go to school anymore? And it was just, my brothers have to go, that's why. Like, there was no, she didn't understand that that was a violation of her rights. And
Yes.
that provoked me and that moved me, because I am a daughter of the same country, and my parents raised me with encouragement and having an opinion, and having choices in my own life, decisions according to my desires. And here was a girl who was a daughter of the same country, who didn't even have an idea that she had choices. And that really moved me to sort of, in my way, at least as an entertainer, that's all I can do, right? I'm not a lawmaker. Um, I'm not someone that can actually really change things, but I can provoke things to maybe move towards change. And I tried to do that with, whether it was my philanthropy, whether it's the work that I align myself with, whether it's the decisions I make for me. I think that even that for matter is like, the more people we see out there, the more empowering it is for young girls, I feel. And we need to, like, I would love your daughter to be one of those people who, is like, I want to take charge of my own life. If even one person can think like that, because maybe I did, I think I would have won.
The spunkiness that you're talking about, early childhood, early awareness of who you are. There's a wonderful anecdote about when your parents got one of their homes and they had a nameplate outside the door, which talked about your father and his designation, your mother, they're both doctors, and her designation, they were both in the army. And you turn around and said, but what about me? Don't I live in the same house? Where's my nameplate? I loved it. And your father didn't mock you for it. Your mother didn't mock you. They said, oh, yes, you're right. I mean, you share a home, we share it together, and why shouldn't your name be there? So the nameplate is what I loved the most. It said, Miss Mimi Priyanka Chopra, Upper KG. But it says so much about the way they raised you. It says so much about the love and confidence that they gave you. Now, throughout the book, there are two men who dominate the narrative. Your father, don't get so worried, and your husband. Your father is such an intrinsic part of your life. You even have him on your wrist as a tattoo. Yes. And when you married Nick, that moment is also very well captured. It's very real. It's very tender. There's nothing dramatic about it. It's like a regular boy and girl. They go on a kind of a sort of a setup date. Do you want to tell us about that? How it happened?
I mean, people think that just because I'm a public person, or I've lived more than half my life as a public person, that people know everything about me. There are books that have been written about me, articles that have been written about me. So people think, yeah, मुझे सब कुछ मालूम है. But I think people forget कि we may be smart too. I've gotten away with sharing very little bit of my life for a very long time. And I've been very private about, what I like to share and what I don't. But I think with my husband, it was the reason I chose to write about that moment in my life, because nothing that surprised me as much as he did. He is an extremely secure, extremely conscientious man, someone who's very, very aware and solid on his own feet. And he just kind of swept me away when I met him. I kind of had discounted him a little bit. We'd been texting for 2 years or something. But I was at a place in my life where I was like, I want to get married. I want somebody who takes this seriously. He's in his 20s, God knows. And I didn't want to go down that road. So I discounted him for 2 years actually, till I met him properly.
Yeah.
And we went out, and I realized that this man is like a sense of balance for me. There's this one story I talk about in the book, which is very prevalent to what it really defines our relationship. And the moment I felt that, this is someone that can share my burdens for the rest of my life. I trust them to share my burdens. I never share my burdens with anyone, but with Nick, I do. And I think very early, our third group date or something, we were with a bunch of friends always. And I remember I had a meeting. My team from India had come, my team from America. It was like meeting of the continents. That doesn't happen very often. The wo date match karke, it was like a big thing. And we were on this boat, and everyone was like, no, don't go anywhere. And I was like, no, 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 I have to go. If somebody gave me a reason, maybe I won't go. Like that thing,
Nakra.
dropping hints. Yeah, nakra. I mean, I'm Indian now. I can't help it. Little nakra will be there. So I'm doing all of that. Like, oh, somebody drop a hint, and he's not taking my hint only. So after like 3 times I said it, he takes me aside and he goes, babe, I'm not going to tell you to cancel your meeting, because if you could have, you would have. I know how hard you've worked to be where you are. So I'm not going to be the one who tells you to cancel it. What I will do though, because I know you as a person, you also have FOMO, that you'll be feeling like, oh God, everyone is out and I'm at work. So what I'll do is I'll take our friends out. We'll wait till you finish your meeting, and then we'll go out for drinks. I like it. My brain was shaken up for multiple reasons. One, here's this guy giving credence to my career, not his desires, to my needs, not what he wants. Second of all, he also knows me enough as a person to say she's going to have FOMO. So let me give you a solution. I will handle our friends. Tum kaam karke aa jao.
Yeah.
I was mind blown with how much pride he shows towards my work, towards what drives me, and from such a balanced place that I'm. It was just I just knew at that moment.
But tell us also about the time when you called him home, and the first time you met your mother. She was wearing a nightie. She was on a sofa watching TV, and that was his first introduction to mom.
It was not supposed to be like an introduction to parents. It was not supposed to be that. I forgot that she would be up. She still teases me about it. I forgot that she would be up. I forgot to call her because it was 1 o'clock at night, and we were like 10 minutes away. So by the time we had the decision about coming to my house, we were already there. So my mother was so shocked. Oh, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. She's wearing her nightie, and I'll never forget this because it was weird for me as well. Like
Yeah.
bringing a guy home. It was like kind of strange. And she jumps out of bed terrified, and she's like, oh, 1 second. She goes to her bathroom and starts wearing lipstick and calls me in. Why didn't you tell me? I'm not going to come out. I said, if you're not coming out, why are you putting lipstick on?
There are some marvelous, marvelous anecdotes of that kind, which are very human, very personal, which also make your parents come alive in so many different ways. And the incident where your father, in circumstances which would have daunted anybody, he was not prepared at all, but he didn't want to miss a very important award that you were receiving. And the trouble he took to make that trip forms also a very important part of your narrative. So if you could briefly tell us what that moment was like for him, for you, because he was really ailing at that point.
This was 3, 4 months before he died. And after, he had struggled with cancer for almost 8 years, but the last 1 year was um, really, really tough on him. And I think this was a Toifer Awards. I think it was the first year it was happening. I was nominated for Burfi. My dad was very excited about my work in Burfi. My dad was always my biggest champion. Like, even if I won a small relay race in school, he would be the loudest. Embarrassingly so sometimes. I used to have to tell him, Ki, Dad, 30th award ho gaya, abhi thoda sa, let's calm down. We have to play cool. But he didn't know how to do that when it came to me. I was his like pride and joy. And um, he had to come to the US from Mumbai for treatment anyway, to Rochester in New York. And this award show was happening in, I think, in Canada somewhere. And I asked him very sheepishly because I knew, his investment in my career was more than tangible. It was his heart was invested in everything that I had achieved, and he, felt like it was his. So I asked him, I was like, would you come to the show with me? I'm nominated. I mean, but I hadn't won any other awards that year for the movie. So I was like, I don't know. But, I'm performing. It'll be fun. Um, and he said, of course. He was very excited to come. But he was so ill that he had to break the journey in 3 trips. They had to stop in Europe. They had to stop 3, 4 times before they reached Canada. They had to stay there for about, mom and dad, 4 days before he was on bed rest completely. He had his bile, things that he put it inside his shirt. And I remember that night, my dad used to take immense pride in how he dressed. He was a very vain man. He was very, very clear about his suit. It had to be ironed right. Creases had to be right. His tie. He was a military guy. And I remember that day he was putting all of his, kya bolte hain unko, like all the packets in which all your liquids and fluids go, which were attached to him, inside his shirt, and he was buttoning it up, and he was on his wheelchair. And as soon as we arrived at the venue on his wheelchair, he insisted on getting up and walking. And I was like, all right, we have to sit here for 3 hours. You know how award functions are really
Yes.
long.
Yeah.
I was like, we are going to be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's not start the walking now. He was like, I've been part of this industry with you for such a long time, and I hold my own. And he made it. I won that award. I asked him to come on stage with me. He walked up on stage. I remember the hosts coming towards him to try and help, and he was like, no, I'll do it. And it took him 10 minutes, but people were patient, and everyone stood up when he walked on stage. I think they knew he was ailing, the audience. He gave a speech. He said it in Punjabi and in Hindi, and it was. And he said, thank you so much for choosing a true actor tonight. And I was like, here he is, my dad, standing up for me one more time.
Yeah, because maybe it was a small dig at Burfi going unnoticed back home.
It wasn't small. It wasn't small, according to my dad.
Okay.
My dad made it very clear in that speech, and I was like embarrassed. I came off and I was like, Dad, did you have to? But that's just who he was. He always stood up for me. He always even when I was meek about it, he wasn't.
But what also impressed me in a way and also surprised me a little is you're very casual about your two great big wins, your Miss India win as well as the Miss World. It's written in a tone which is not, it's not that, oh my God, I Miss World. Of course, the victory parade and all of it that you've described. But the emotional content of what you've written is not sort of excessive. There's a lot of restraint.
But let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Because so I was taken from high school wearing
Yes.
a uniform and thrown into this world of fashion, which you know very well.
Yes.
Before I had time to figure out anything, like imagine the time duration. Miss India is January, Miss World was November. So before last November, I was in school. And this November, I'm Miss World. There was no time, Shobhaa ma'am, to think about the ecstatic energy around this. I was only
Yes.
trying to keep my head above water at that point. As an 18-year-old, trying to say the right things, trying to wear heels and speak to heads of states and have an opinion on economies of countries. Like, who knew any of that at 18?
You goofed up a little in your
I
final
goofed up
answer.
so much.
Yeah, but that didn't matter at all because you had the crown. So and after that,
Thankfully, I was so scared they'll take it away from me.
and after that, it was just up, up, and up. And there's a very, very interesting episode where you talk about once you had decided that you're going to make it in Hollywood and you had your commitments there and you were shooting Bajirao in Vai, a village outside of Maharashtra. And you would commute to that Vai village in Maharashtra on a weekend and go back and start shooting for Quantico again. How did you do it? Just describe it briefly, that schedule of yours.
It was punishing, like literally punishing.
Say the least, yes.
You didn't have time to think, breathe, but I'm also greedy, Shobha ma'am. I didn't want to give it up. And also Sanjay sir's movies always go over their schedule anyway. But
and you were so phenomenal in that movie. Phenomenal.
Thank you.
In
Thank
one
you so
scene
much.
in particular, where you greet Mastani with the thali.
And I love that scene. I love the silences in it.
I love it. I can watch it over and over again. But your film career in Bollywood, I expected maybe more of it in the book, but it's like you're treating it as just one part of your life, not your entire life. It did not ever consume you. Like it consumes a lot of actors in Bollywood. They can't think beyond their next film, their next role. But you've gone into production, you're doing regional cinema, I'm helping produce regional films, which are award-winning films. You're doing so many other things. So Bollywood was what? You hardly mentioned your co-stars. I mean, apart from, I think, Akshay, Hrithik, and Salman. These are the three people you've mentioned in your book.
Even a couple of reasons.
Any of them.
Sorry, what?
The actresses that you work with, they're all sort of.
I've mentioned them. The women that I've admired. I've mentioned a bunch of female producers that I've admired. And
oh yes, of course, yes.
But to me, I'll explain to you why. Each chapter in my life, which is why they're selected as like 11 chapters, they're a sum of who I am. And more than anything, my work and my home have always been bifurcated. I am never defined by my work, which is why I have the ability to do multiple things. I never believe that if my next film doesn't do well, or if I don't get the leading part in this movie, then my career is over. I have never, ever felt that. I was raised with enough confidence to know that I can pivot into anything else. I can choose to do anything I want. If I am a student, I will excel at it. Anything. And I don't take that pressure. I never have taken that pressure. And maybe that's the reason I've been able to pivot so much. Also, secondly, my career has never depended on my co-actors, ever. I've not needed to get a movie with a particular hero or a particular guy for my career to go forward. I've chosen various kinds of films, various kinds of parts, big parts, small parts, big directors, small directors, indie movies, non-genre films. So my journey is very individual to my choices and my moods, actually, at that point. I'm not someone who's a planner. I don't follow a rule book that was set before, heroines should work with people like this, or they should do movies like this. I don't come from the business. So the business doesn't define me.
And interestingly, your mother is the one who keeps you, well, grounded would be an understatement, but she tells you a few home truths when you need to hear them, and even when you don't want to hear them. Like I think in the book you mentioned that she told you that by 35, I mean, who wants to watch a female actor on screen? It's all khatam, forget it. No one, your lead actor may be 55 years old.
But he'll want a 20-year-old heroine.
Exactly. So that was a nice part. And also the other part where you talk about auditioning. That must be pretty tough after being a superstar in India. It's a lesson in humility, surely, when you go there. Yeah, the music.
Not just the auditioning part of it, Shobha ma'am, all of it was a lesson in humility. Just like walking into a party and no one knows you. And, you have to, if you want a career, you have to introduce yourself. You have to walk into a magazine and their office and, say, I've been on your India cover 4 times, but here I am. My name is Priyanka, and this is the work I'm doing, and this is the work I'm seeking.
Yes.
So I had to really be on the front foot. But at the same time, swallow the pill of humility, which I'm okay with, because it was my choice to, go into a completely new country, continent, industry and start all over again. And I was okay to try that at that point. I was seeking and I was craving change and evolution. And, that was what was required, and there's no free lunch in the world. I hate entitlement. I hate people who come into a room with a sense of I know everything. Nobody knows everything. And I think everyone needs a lesson in humility and understanding that we have to approach people and projects and new things with a sense of humility and say I am willing to learn. And that's the only way you can. That's how I built my career in Bollywood. I built my career in America based on the fact that I never walk into a room entitled that I know anything.
Do you want to talk about the unnamed producer who put you down when you first went to, it was an audition in Mumbai, I'm assuming, and he asked you to twirl, and the comment that was made after that, and how you could so easily turn your back on that because you didn't want to go there?
I feel like it was so normalized, Shobha ma'am, at that point. I was one of the girls that got away unscathed, probably, because I didn't, I didn't need it. I don't know, I didn't have a air of what if I don't get it, my life will be over. Like I've never had that sort of pressure. I felt shitty about it. I felt terrible about it, of course. Somebody twirling you around and saying, you should get this job, that job, whatever. But I feel like when I joined Hindi movies that time, this is early 2000s, it was very normalized that girls were replaceable, that, movies were dictated by male leads, and who they fancied, and, who the what is flavor of the season was, or and that was a reality at that point. And even I couldn't do much about it. I was also nascent, and
Sorry, do you think a lot has changed since then
definitely,
in industry in Bollywood?
I think girls of my generation, and I'm going to take immense pride in saying that, but the
Yeah.
girls of my generation have created a change. You are seeing leading ladies that are married. You are seeing leading ladies who are closer to the age of their co-actors. You are seeing leading ladies that are producers, who are creating their own content, who are aligning with people to create the content they want to star in. And I think that they are bold. They have the ability to stand on their own feet and have opinions. And I think that's a big change. The goalpost has been shifted from when I joined to where I am right now. And I hope that with everything that the women of this generation are doing, the girls of the next one won't be inheriting our problems. I'm hoping, like your daughter and kids that come after us won't inherit the issues that we are dealing with. I mean, that'll be a failure on our generation if they do.
So the whole nepotism debate, which maybe your generation faced, you believe that the next generation may be free of it in the movie business at any rate. And does it
I
not
don't
exist in Hollywood?
I'm not sure of the comparison that way, because I haven't really um, you know, come across like favoritism like that, where you inherit sort of work. You kind
Yeah.
of you have to work for it.
Yeah. Nice
Um,
phrase, inherit work.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's like you how do you inherit work? But I haven't seen that. But I do feel like, and I try to articulate this in the book, there is nothing wrong with wanting to take care of your family and take care of your friends. Everyone wants to do that. That is natural human nature and should not be punished at all. Everyone wants to take care of their family, yeah. um, you know but the struggle I have is, why do people want to build larger walls and keep the table small? Let's make the table bigger if we have the opportunity. That's my take on this, is let's create opportunity. And I'm so excited about the fact that streaming has come in such a big way into entertainment, because it's
Yeah.
helped us diversify so much. We have content that is being told not just by 10 people, and by the 10 people that are mixed around in the popularity debate. It's you're being able to see so many different actors, so many different writers, directors, people having a sense of opinion. and movies and shows that are being seen across the world, across languages, and it's such a great time for our industry, I really feel, to be able to diversify in terms of the arts. And I see people doing it. There's such great work that's coming out and such great actors. Like even the White Tiger,
Oh
Adarsh
my
is a
God.
phenomenal
He
find.
is a treasure, absolute
I would,
treasure.
I implore everyone, please, when you find somebody who has done good work, encourage them. So
Yes.
please encourage others. He's a young boy who has done tremendous work, might be nominated, who knows,
Who knows?
as one of the first Indian leading men to ever be
Yes,
nominated.
completely.
I mean, we need to take pride in that. I have goosebumps right now, but I wish that we would, support our own a little bit more.
Definitely. And he's, I would say, Irfan League or when I saw the movie, when I watched it and I watched him, I mean, I was gobsmacked. I couldn't get over what a natural he is. What a natural.
And how much dedication, it
Yeah.
doesn't come easily, Shobha ma'am. He doesn't walk
Yeah.
onto set and know his lines.
Yeah.
He worked on it. He took a job in a tea stall.
I know.
He walked Balram's shoes, and that is performance arts to me.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
our job is not you get your dialogue and you're like a chaparlia and say it. That's not what it is. It's got to be immersive. And
Yeah.
I've always looked for that and craved that in all the work that I do. I've had the good fortune of working with some amazing filmmakers where I've been able to do it. But I'm so proud of Adarsh as his producer, but also like just as a co-actor. I got to
Yeah.
witness his brilliance, right in front of my eyes, and I'm going to champion him till the birds go away. But
But you
but I
also,
would wish everybody else would as well.
I'm sure, because it's a performance that's going to reach out, jump out at you if you watch it. You can't not be affected by the movie as well as his performance, and of course yours in the opening sequence where you're with him, and then much later when again it sort of wraps up in a wonderful way. But in the book, you also talk about the problem of racism that you faced, the problem of ethnicity that you're championing. You're very, very passionate about breaking those kind of walls. Talked about being called a Kali, being called Dusky. And it was tough in India, but was it tougher still when you went to Hollywood, or is that not an issue there at all?
I mean, nobody called me Kali
No,
in
not
America.
Kali, but would they have ever thought of you as brown skinned, put you into some kind of a box like they did in.
So it wasn't like blatant in terms of like, oh, you're brown, so sorry, you're canceled. It wasn't that. What I realized when I went to America and I was seeking work there, that it wasn't in people's consciousness that a brown person can be the lead of a movie or a lead of a show. Like it wasn't conceptually didn't exist in Hollywood for some reason. And I was just like, all the leading parts that were written were of specific other ethnicities, but it was conceptually it did make sense to people. Like I was talking to Ava DuVernay the other day, and we were having this conversation, and literally there used to be a saying in Hollywood at that time, which is like 6 years ago, that black and brown people, their movies don't work internationally outside of America. Like literally that's why big movies would not be made with leads that were black and brown. um, and that was an insider's myth. And Ava and I were just talking about it the other day, that it's incredible to see that we've been able to push that boundary now just in this 5 year span. Like the White Tiger is probably historic because it's an all Indian star cast, which was the number one movie in the world on the largest streaming platform in the world. That's not normal. It is not. And that's what I want to normalize. That's what I want to champion, is seeing people that look like us, especially Indians, because we have the largest movie industry in the world, bigger than Hollywood. Why don't we have that kind of representation in English language entertainment? Especially because most of us speak it, most of us know it. We should have that kind of representation. It should be normalized to see someone like you and me as a lead on a mainstream TV show or as on a mainstream movie. And I once I realized that, mere to aag lag gayi, and I just went after it. I was like, these doors need to be broken.
But Quantico certainly did that. It did it for you, but it also a game changer on so many other levels. I mean, at
But it
that
was the
point,
first time, na,
yes,
Shobha ma'am.
absolutely.
Think about in
Absolutely.
2015. How
Yes.
late is that? We are 1/5 of the world's population.
But we are
How
there now.
we're now, yes, we are getting there. And I have to say, just like I said, my generation of female actors in India, but like I have to say that there are a few, South Asian people, Indian and from the South Asian diaspora, that are really pushing the envelope in Hollywood
Yes.
and demanding change and demanding leading parts in mainstream entertainment for people like us. And I'm very excited to be part of moving that envelope.
So, do you feel global? Do you feel Desi girl? Do you feel American? Do you see a future in politics? Can you see yourself playing Kamala Harris? A kind of,
I
why
can't think
not?
so far. No, I just don't think so far. You want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. So I just don't.
Yes. So, to wrap up the last chapter where you talk about visualizing your home with Nick, all the rooms that you want to create, your shared love for family values, having lots of bachas hanging around, your own perhaps, nephews, nieces, friends, their kids, different rooms that you visualize, which I loved. The gulmohar tree that you planted.
I'm so
Because
excited. It's small right now. It's still a little
so
sapling.
it's a fast grower, like you mentioned. So before
Yeah.
you know it, the gulmohar will be in full bloom. I like the idea of your mandir next to the grand piano. So it's a kind of a coming together, a confluence of so many things that have made you who you are. So Priyanka Chopra Jonas, I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. God bless you. You're an exceptional Indian and an exceptional global citizen. Continue your fabulous, fabulous work, and you're looking like $1,000,000.
Thank you so much, Shobha ma'am. You're always so insightful and so well spoken and articulate. It's really nice, to have a conversation with someone who's evocative. It's
Thank you.
nice.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Priyanka Chopra and Shobhaa, for that absolutely brilliant conversation. There's just so many takeaways from all that you both have said. And we're sure that this book is going to go out there and be an incredibly captivating read. And I do hope it sells over 1 billion copies. We thank our partners, Diageo, and thank you all for watching and being such a great audience. Please do stay logged on to continue to watch with us our series of exciting sessions featuring such a stellar list of speakers. And do remember, we need you to support us by pressing that contribution button. Help us continue to allow for a free flow of knowledge and ideas. And meanwhile, please do remember to tweet by tagging us at Jaipur Literature Festival 2021, and our handles are at Jaipur Lit Fest. The festival is protected by Dettol. Till then, stay masked, stay safe. See you in the next session.